All right, it's going.
Good morning.
Um,
What do you think?
I'm waiting. Yes, we're up.
Okay, good. Good morning, everybody. I can't see the chat, so I'm going to have to check my phone out again today. But welcome again, Dr. Misak here. I hope you guys can hear me clearly and everything. And oh man, this morning just a complete plan on how we're going to do a show and everything, and just going into it in a relaxed aspect. And such a lie.
Oh my.
So we get a change of scenery. We finally got some hardwire back to my office again because we were having problems back here. So I can come back here and do consultations. And I can actually jump on my computer back here again. So you guys get a little bit of view differently what it looks like in my office. I always like to start with the Bible app. And this is today, Hebrews 11:6. And without faith, it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him. That's Hebrews 11:6. And I'll tell you, people, if it wasn't for faith, I don't know where I would be. I think that's, when you look at people's attributes and their strengths and whatever I've done this quiz before in regards to your spiritual strengths and whatever. And honestly, mine has been faith historically. And I just believe and know that God's got things under control. Otherwise, I'd be pulling my hair out because it's almost gone anyway. Let's see here. I am going to try to get on the chat so I can see what you guys are having to say and say hello to you. Because last week when Annie wasn't here, I did the show from my I did it from my computer, and I got to read the chat while we're here. So this way I have to look on my phone. Good morning, Marty, Leah, Diana. Good morning, Annie. See, they missed you. Glad you're back. Carolyn, thank you. Card from my dad. Thank you so much. I appreciated that. And finally, you're on time. I can agree.
We were 4 minutes late.
Yeah, we were 4 minutes late. Okay. You know why we were 4 minutes late? Is because I had to mix something lovely tasting for Annie. So I like Annie. I love to always have Annie's face when we do this.
Very
so she
rude. Very rude. All right, you ready? This is darker than normal, so thanks. Cheers.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, no, that was extra.
Got a kick to it, right?
Be good in 10 minutes.
Yeah, less than that probably. So we turned around and I mixed these lovely little herbs at their best aspect. Good morning, Prophet Bear. You can see I finally saw your emails from a month ago or something like that. And yeah, I like the aspect. Prophet Bear was suggesting some other forums and stuff to that effect.
Yeah, something happened on Facebook yesterday. Oh my gosh, it's really going to change things. One of my naturopathic doctors that I follow, he got a warning saying that your account is going to be deleted, and it was because he's posting information that they mark as false or whatever their fact checker thing does. I guess whenever you have a certain amount of posts, you're considered dangerous, and they're going to remove you from Facebook. So yeah, I think that it's time now that we go hit Parler or whatever, because I think it's really going to change in the next month or so. I don't know what happened. I thought the hearings were in our favor.
They were.
So, but Trump just got censored on Facebook and Twitter yesterday. They wouldn't put his stuff up. So who knows? Who knows? But I think a backup plan is a good idea at this point.
Okay, so if we turn around and change, what we might do is a 10-second or 30-second video that says, go here.
Yeah.
So just to kind of steer you where to go and put that up for you guys to find us and everything like that. Being back in my office, I mean, we were trying to turn around. Like last week, I was going to talk about the aspects of, seasonal associations and looking at, all of a sudden, Halloween weekend, how much sugar are people consuming going into Thanksgiving? What are you going to eat at Thanksgiving and possibly overstuff yourself? You know, it's just like, hey, you have the turkey dressing, and then you go back for seconds and it becomes the filling, and then you go back for thirds and it becomes the turkey stuffing. And so that's kind of the aspect of, you know, what are we eating? And then Christmas comes along, and how many people are giving out chocolate and all of these, you know, various aspects of things that you only bake one time a year. And, you know, then enjoy them. You know, you could turn around and have your concerns and go to, you know, you can check your numbers and say, yep, that's totally crappy for me, particularly when you start, you know, nutmeg was listed by Dr. Reams as one of the no-no foods simply because it has an irritating effect on the digestive tract, and it would mess with your numbers, you know, like black tea, like black pepper and those type of things. And, but my God, how often do you eat nutmeg and your pumpkin pie stuff? You know, people, I'm not your food police. You know, the idea is if you feel like crap because you eat something that you shouldn't eat, then welcome to self-awareness, and you're making a health step forward, you know, and that's kind of where it is. And so one of the things when we're talking about, you know, for the seasonal eating that we were trying to mention last week, and I just got totally sidetracked, specifically is moderation and awareness. You know, like, okay, this is totally crappy for me. Oh my God, I love it though. You know, but you know, how many of you like pumpkin rolls? That cream cheese filling, it's stuffed and rolled up, and oh my God, let me just eat a pound and gain 10, right? You know, and but it's, you know, you'll learn that these things, like, okay, if I eat a little bit, I got my satisfaction with that. I probably could eat a lot more personally, but let me try to have some containment as far as what I do, you know. And so I'm not going to turn around and have people not enjoy traditional aspects, but you can also make for healthier traditional aspects. There's a lot of things that you can do that are quite healthy that could be considered. As Annie puts together a cookbook for us, we'll see how that goes, right, Annie?
Yes, I can do that. We have one started.
We have gotten things started. We the cook for our retreats, she's just amazing, just totally amazing. And what she's been doing is making recipes, as well as listing the prominent calciums that are in those recipes, and making sure that when you have a meal, you're getting all of your prominent calciums in that meal. And we have a whole list of recipes and things. And as we release the book, we're looking at an application book aspect to say, hey, here's a 6-week, you know, or 7-week diet that you can turn around and in the BC range or the DE range, and you can turn around and just move your chemistry and just have an outline for it, you know, something from an application standpoint. So that's where it all's going. You'll kind of notice this big old clumpy thing behind me today. And look at that clumpy mess, Annie. What do you think?
Very rude.
So one of the things we like to do is look at live blood, you know, and oh, what is that? That's
what?
Oh my! It's nothing. It's a piece of fiber on the slide.
Oh my gosh!
So when you're looking at this, you know, we like to get live blood up here, and so you see crystals right there, crystals in the middle. That's like cholesterol crystals, and that's because when the blood gets thick like this, the body wants to produce some cholesterol to help the blood to get where it needs to be. So when you see a clumpy mess like this, there's another crystal right there. That instead of cholesterol, that's just a crystal formation. And crystal formations happen when you're not digesting proteins as well as you ought to. And this clumping happens when you're not digesting as well as you ought to. Sure. And this is basically a sign of inflammation. So Annie, we want to guess whose blood this is?
Well, that'd be mine, yes.
So what we're looking, so we like to pull it up. And so the thing is there's some interesting cells in there that we should talk about, with oxidation and stuff like that. But, you know, when I look at a set of numbers, and had I run your numbers this morning, you could predict this stuff. You could turn around and look at a set of numbers and say, oh my, you have a really high conductivity, you know, a high salt value. And if you go and you look at the symptoms associated with high salts, agglutination, that's blood agglutination, you know. And then you also look at the aspects of your nitrates, particularly ammonia nitrates going up, and you're not digesting your proteins, and you'll see, oh, you're going to be all clumpy and sticky, and because you're not digesting, and that's associated with inflammation because it's stressful to the body. So it's like a visual reminder. You know, we look at variations in size and shape, and see, oh, those are floating around. They all should be floating around. They should be moving around and stuff like that. And so when we're looking at this, you can see the aspects of white blood cells hiding out in here, white blood cells hiding out in here. But when you see variation in size, like little cells and big cells like that, that's called anisocytosis. You know, bottom line, she's fatigued, she's tired, tendency towards anemia, tendency towards thyroid disorders, tendency towards malnutrition, tendency towards inflammation, you know. And so you look at that and like, what do? You go to somebody who does live blood and they're going to say, let's put you on some turmeric. Let's put you on some nattokinase and some systemic enzymes. Let's, you know, because you're not digesting, you should take digestive enzymes. And what do I take? 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 You know? And so bottom line, if you start looking at the numbers, you could say, wait a minute, I'm not digesting my proteins. I'm possibly eating too much protein or the wrong sources. Maybe I need to eat more vegetable-based protein and less meats and those type of things. And we know Annie hates meat, right, Annie?
Yes. What?
You do not.
I didn't hear you.
I said you hate meat.
Oh, heck no.
Heck no. Venison and...
I was going to say, I just had backstrap last night. Oh, it was incredible. Shouldn't do that at, 2 a.m., but I was hungry and not sleeping, so... Yeah, you're probably seeing that in my blood.
So anyway, so let me see if there's any specific questions. I left my board in the other room.
I'll bring it.
Let me see.
I'll grab it for you.
If we're going to have anybody with questions here. Let's see. Bernie and Mary, good morning. I'm devastated. All the old interviews are gone. I was going through and taking... What do you mean all of my old interviews are gone? They should not be. You should be able to go to Doc Misak, and then there's open channels. There's channels on there, and one of them is... I don't know the name of it, but it's all of them are there. They're under various files, and you should be able to open a file. Like one of them has like 36 videos, and another one has all of the old Patriot Soapbox ones. And although Patriot Soapbox I know was shut down on YouTube, now maybe they did disappear in that regard. That would really stink, but I certainly hope not. Good morning, Jackie. Can't wait for the cookbook. I can't either. Q plus 2020 driving, but I made it. Good. And I thank you. I got your email and everything. Thank you again. I hope that helped what I suggested. Looking forward to learning. Marcia, good morning. Oh, Betty is out there. Betty, if you ever want to jump on these, just text me and we'll send you the Zoom meeting and you can jump in and say hello to everybody. That's your call. They are still showing as deleted or private. These are from WTPI and older. Yeah, I know that YouTube was going after the conservative media of Patriot Soapbox and WTPI. And so they basically, if you go looking for Patriot Soapbox on YouTube, they'll say the channel no longer exists. They got rid of it. And so whether they got rid of all the old videos or not, I don't know. And that would include all of my old ones, which really kind of stinks. So is that censorship, people? I don't know. I mean, that's illegal, isn't it? Isn't there such a thing as freedom of speech? I mean, that never would that occur in our country today. Holly, good morning. Marcia, looking forward to the new book. Me too. Betty, you're welcome. Again, if you want to log in, just text me and we will send you the Zoom meeting, and you can just jump on and just let us know you're doing so. So as we if anybody has a set of numbers and wants to put them on out there, that'd be fine as well. And we could talk about numbers a little bit. One of the things that I was hoping to talk about a little bit today is, when do you need a doctor? You know, so is there this aspects of, do you I don't know, do you want to be part of our healthcare system? You know, and, they are healthcare system, particularly, the insurance companies give benefits for people who are due preventative care. So I need to take a statin drug so my cholesterol doesn't go high. I need to keep a blood pressure medication so my blood pressure doesn't get too high and put stress on my body. I need to take what else, whatever it is that the health care system kind of suggests. Or is there actually a way that you can monitor your own health? And is there a way that you can be responsible and know if something's going on? But what about those important blood work and lab work, and that tells me whether something's going on? You know that if you have lab work done, if you go online nowadays, you can get all that stuff interpreted like, oh, this value is out, or what's normal. And there's all kinds of things out there from natural perspectives, even people making suggestions on where your blood work can be a little bit on the abnormal side or the normal side. I mean, Dr. Google, you could diagnose yourself with anything out there, but is that the idea of what we're talking about? So, there was one time when I was in naturopathic medical school, in the school newspaper, somebody had drawn a picture of a guy standing in front of a doctor, and he had a steel rod going through his chest and coming out the other shoulder. And he's like, what homeopathic do I use? Seriously? There's definitely a place for natural medicine, and there's definitely a place for traditional medicine and allopathic medicine for, acute surgeries and things where, hey, I need my body put back together, and let me take the stress off my body and put me under. And, hey, how many of you just would like to be put under for the sake of it, to go into La La Land? How many of you remember that movie with Kevin Bacon years ago, Flatliners, where they'd kill themselves as medical students and see how long they could stay dead, and they'd revive each other? Kind of weird, huh? But when you're looking at the aspect, when do I need that doctor? Because most of the people who come are having generalized complaints, headaches, digestive disturbances. I'm sluggish, I'm tired. Whatever it is, and you start breaking them down to the generalized symptoms of lack of oxygen. Hey, there's my headaches, there's my nervousness, there's my aches and pains all over my body. What about nervousness and anxiety? My nerves, I can't deal with life. And so what's causing that? What if you could know just by checking something on yourself? And I'm not sitting here saying don't go to the doctor, because there's obviously a time and a place where there's a risk to where, hey, you're really in a bad place and you need to get under control. But I can tell you, natural medicine can do amazing things if you have some certain tools. And I talked to you a couple of weeks ago about having cell salts handy. Yeah, it's good to keep them available. Get that book by Sky Weintraub and have something that say, hey, if I'm feeling this, what can I take? That's completely safe just by putting some basic trace minerals back in my body. Amazing stuff. Having a homeopathic kit. A kit contains about 50 remedies, having a good book that outlines. I personally, everywhere I go, every time I'm there, I carry a bottle that you can no longer read of arnica. Keep it in my pocket. It goes with me wherever I am. If I twist an angle, if I see somebody else get hurt, arnica is good to have. It's amazing how homeopathic arnica is what made me a believer in homeopathy, So when you turn around and carrying a homeopathic kit, carrying cell salts, these are basic things that you can do that are non-toxic whatsoever. Emotional disturbances, using Bach flower remedies and doing a questionnaire and having a personalized remedy made up that helps you. It doesn't make your emotions go away. They just help you to kind of handle them a little bit better. That's kind of things that you can start. But what about diet? What if your diet is what's causing the problem? What if you're eating something every single day that causes a low-grade inflammation pattern that just says, hey, my blood's all clumpy. I'm not digesting this food. I am inflamed, and I'm sore, tired, and achy all the time. Is that possible? Hell yeah, it's possible. So when you're looking at that, how do you identify that? Well, you can come to me and we can do the EAV testing. We have the electrodermal testing. We go over there and push on your fingers and we test you for food chemical sensitivities. And I've talked about electrodermal testing where we're measuring for balanced electrical points, and then we stress those points with frequencies associated with foods and chemicals. And I've even had people come in here just to do what we call EAV balancing, where I find imbalanced points and then I use flower essence frequencies to see what group of flower essences. And I've had people do that and be like, oh my God, Doc, is this like a psychological evaluation? How does this know that those are the flower essences that I need? Because that's exactly where I am emotionally. And I'm going crazy in my head. And this machine just told me which ones that I need. And I don't think I could have picked them any better myself. That's kind of a cool thing because it's all energy balance. Everything that we do is related to energy, frequency, vibration, and some of the other things that I want to get into and kind of educate and teach and bring to the forefront. It's hard to do just because of being so busy and gathering information that's really been lost in some capacity. And I keep finding certain things like there's a thing called the Pulse Academy. It's a Chinese medicine diagnostic per se aspect of where you're hooked up to a machine that's measuring your pulse rate, your pulse, and the quality of your pulse. And they found that by looking at a pulse, and if you've ever seen an EKG, you have, that little blip that comes over, then it goes up, down, over, so you have a P wave, a QRS, complex, and then a T wave. And you look at those waves. Well, what this pulse diagnostic aspect is they measured the frequency associated within those lines, which correlated with the utilization and the movement of sodium, potassium, and I believe calcium. Is how that they're correlating it. And they found the specific frequency that when you turn around and you pull that frequency out where people are imbalanced, they turn around and correlate that frequency with what used to be known as solfeggio frequencies and showing, look, these complexes show up in relation to these notes on your scale, and you could turn around and say, whoa, those are concepts I haven't seen since the 1920s. And I got charts in the back that show you how atoms and molecular structures are all related to frequency and specific scales on music, and how they turn around. And there's another one that shows that when they changed 432 hertz as the standard tuning to 440 hertz, that little 8 change, and they turn around and they run 432 hertz and vibrate that through water versus 440 hertz. You can see a flower near like a flower of life geometric pattern with the 432 hertz. But when you look at the 440 hertz, it's distorted and it's just this blob. What if all of our music is slightly out of tune now with natural frequency vibrations and health of who you are? Now that would be a conspiracy aspect, which kind of, I don't want to go there, but what if Rockefeller was behind the aspects of changing the standard tuning of music? Why would Rockefeller give a damn back in the 1930s? What if we're throwing music out of tune? What if, so there's some pretty interesting things out there when you relate everything to frequency, vibration, pulse diagnostics, frequency, vibration, specific tones, correcting it with tonal frequencies, or acupuncture to move frequency and vibration to free up energy. So how does this all relate to, wow, where were we starting with this, Annie? See if you're on the topic.
I'm not on it.
Yeah, I'm going on tangents already. But how does this all relate to, do I need a doctor? Okay, there's definitely a time and place for needing a doctor, but there is a lot of self-assessment you can do, particularly with what we talk about on a regular basis, running your numbers, learning to understand what these numbers are telling you, because that is going to give you a basis of, wait, man, are my symptoms actually disease, or are my symptoms a sign of imbalance that's going on in my body? And I need to address my diet and lifestyle. Good question. What about labs? Is it a good thing to run labs? Heck yeah. Why not? If your blood's already showing abnormalities, then guess what? Something's already breaking down. But, you know, like if you go to Pittsburgh Alternative Health website, go to the link page, right? And you'll see that you can order your own labs through Direct Labs. So you go to Direct Labs, and then you can, when you open it up, you can put in your zip code to see if there's a lab locator near you. And then you pay like $97, and they will turn around and give you like a $610 blood panel. No doctors, unless some lab is like way funky out of range. They're going to call you and say, hey, you need to go see your doctor now because you have an abnormal value that is totally crazy, and you better get that checked out. But in general, if your labs are within these basic ranges, they're just going to send you a report of how well your labs are doing. And so is that a good thing to monitor? Heck yeah, every year. What about every year in December, that $98 or $97 price tag goes down to $59. $59 for a $610 blood panel that keeps you away from a doctor and gives you a basic assessment that says, okay, why are my cells so large? Wow, this could be a B12 folic acid deficiency. Why are my lymphocytes really, really low? Well, I could have a chronic viral issue. And there's enough out there on Dr. Google to give you insights about that. But I'm going to tell you, correlate with looking at your RBTI numbers. What if you start looking at the RBTI numbers and say, wow, I have this really, really high conductivity consistent with nerve irritation, agglutination of my blood. And here I am showing that I have red cell destruction and I'm near anemic. I mean, I'm not telling you not to go to your doctor. I'm telling you to be your own personal health advocate. I'm telling you to be proactive. I'm telling you to be aware, and just start taking steps that help you to understand. This isn't rocket science. Being a doctor, took a while. Bunch of big old yucky thick books and stuff you have to go through and read, and you learn all this aspects of words that are like, you break the word down into 4 different syllables. And those syllables each describe a part of the body: too high, too low, too fast, too slow, and kind of say what's going on in the body. Medical school is all terminology. And how do I love diagnostics where people come with a diagnosis and all it is explaining the pathology. It doesn't tell a darn thing of what's going on. Hypertension. Wow. I have hyper, too high, tension, stress. And so it's associated with high blood pressure. Wow. Okay. What about irritable bowel syndrome? Wow, what a diagnosis. I get constipation or diarrhea. So, but now I've got irritable bowel syndrome that's constipation, or irritable bowel syndrome that's, but why is it happening? Is it something that I'm eating? That's a interesting concept. Well, no, you don't have, you're not celiac disease. So it's nothing to do with what you eat, according to most medical doctors, but you do need some medication. How about some steroids for the rest of your life to control the inflammation process? So, Annie, what was that look for?
I opened Facebook. Why did I do that? Oh my gosh.
Oh, okay. Annie did this look all of a sudden. So let me see what you guys are having to say about this, because I am rambling, and let's see if there's anything that resonates here. You're supposed to feed me in if these people have questions.
Yeah, I know. I was doing 5 other things. I was trying to state OBS, and I don't know.
Is it okay to take multiple cell salts? Yeah, it is. The Byhialin's, the biochemic cell salts, the 12 salts. Yeah, do like 5 of them once or twice a day. Just dissolve them under your tongue. Those are great for you, actually, Marcia. I also like, for people who have nerve or stress-based disorders, the biochemic phosphates. MagPhos helps with spastic tissue. CaliPhos helps with the nerves. CalcPhos helps with just restorative aspect and oxygenation of tissues. So those biochemic phosphates are really nice for people who have stress, and those type of things. While you are eating different and watching your numbers. I don't know what you meant by that, Marcia. Is it okay? Yeah, definitely. While you're taking cell salts. Add me to the notifications too, Prophet Bear. Good. I will get a hold of you. Good. You guys are having a nice chat going on. Let's see. Do homeopathic remedies expire? No, they don't. Just keep them out of the sun. That's why they all come in, amber bottles, and just don't get them wet. They will stay good. Sometimes, particularly remedies, liquid remedies, you succuss them, you bang them, and that's reactivating. That's putting the energy back into them. So that's what you're supposed to do before you take a homeopathic anyway. I have some I have never used, stored in a cool, dark place. It was a kit. I think has an expiration date, but I know, no, homeopathics, they say that the remedies that Hahnemann made back in the 1800s still work today. That vibrational frequency is still carried. It's all energy-based medicine. YouTube just let me on 1 minute late. So, okay, DJ, welcome. But they wouldn't let you on. Those are the type of things that we need.
They didn't notify him.
Oh, they didn't notify him. Okay. Yeah, that's just driving me crazy.
It's everywhere. Don't get too caught up.
Yeah.
It's a disaster. Oh my gosh.
Right, it is.
That notification I saw on Facebook last night stopped me in my tracks because I'm going to lose my Facebook. I don't post too often, but I mean, I guess since this went down with the voting thing, I went a little nuts. But I'm going to get kicked off too. I don't say the magical vaccine word on there, but.
Oh, no, we've stayed away from that topic very much so. What is blowing your mind, Leah? Tell me. I hope that we're just giving you some good information. I recently heard that Rockefeller had a live in homeopath. Love your tangents. Okay. Rockefeller affected a lot. I don't know if you guys know, but in 1903, Rockefeller had basically, in the oil industry, he had outlined a pattern of how to assess work based upon a standard model of functional analysis and say, hey, let's take these pieces and how do we optimize them? And so that approach, and he turned around and started funding traditional medicine. The money started way back then.
Was him and Carnegie, right?
Yeah, and then the AMA, when that was the AMA after they were formed. And then in 1938, with the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, got the FDA involved basically it's kind of like, hey, let's have a government body to establish what we're going to make legal or not legal. Although in 1931, the Congress said, you know what, if you're doing this, you're not practicing medicine without a license. If you've been trained to understand minerals and diet and cell salts and food and herbs, and you've actually been trained to do this, and you're not practicing medicine no matter what the allopathic doctors are saying. And how many people do you hear about getting thrown in jail for, quote, practicing medicine without a license? I see if Betty will talk about that, And so 1938, this Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act was formed, but because about 20 to 30% of medical doctors that were part of the AMA at that time were using homeopathy, they said, look, you can't get rid of homeopathic remedies. They work too well in my practice. And so what they did is they incorporated homeopathic remedies. So when you look at them, they have an NDC, a National Drug Code number on them, and they have an indication written on every bottle. Not at all how you use homeopathy, but that's how they kept it until about 2 to 3 years ago. Now they're trying to say, hey, we need to control homeopathics and make them not available because they don't do this. Is all propaganda and claim, because now what percentage of medical doctors are using homeopathics? I guess somewhere near 0 to 1. Very few medical doctors use homeopathics. And so now there's no interest for the medical establishment to save homeopathy. So believe me, homeopathic companies have been ransacked since around 2010. There used to be drug remedies. You could buy homeopathic Prozac, where a company had one Prozac pill. They diluted it and diluted it and diluted it, made dilutions of homeopathic Prozac. And guess what? People who were having serotonin syndrome and crap from getting these these serotonin reuptake inhibitors, these homeopathics were helping. Like cures like. Hey, it causes this, so what if I give it to you? Guess what? I can get you off of your withdrawal symptoms where you feel that you have to have that SSR or whatever. There were all kinds of homeopathics made from drugs. 2010, they put a stop to it. I actually got a letter, and that's when they stopped making no-sods too. homeopathic nosodes of all the vaccines. And so I actually got a letter from the company saying, hey, historically, you have bought these things from us and there's been a recall on them. So please mail them back to us, even though you bought them 8 years ago. It's like, I don't have any, but that's just, you could see that they were just trying to, let's get this stuff off of the market so it's not available to anybody. I don't want to go there. I already did.
I was about to say, too late.
I just bought body align frequency bracelet that's supposed to change bad frequencies to good. Yeah, that's like carrying around things in your pocket like Organite. Who carries stuff like this? I don't know. But, you're looking at what's in there. Crystals. What's in those frequency bracelets? Crystals. And so you can turn around and see that you were bombarded with energetic frequencies, and the work of Wilhelm Reich is amazing. You ever heard of a cloud buster? Look up cloud buster on YouTube if they're still available. Move the clouds in the sky. Is it possible? Ask friends who have come to my house. Yes, those are good. Anything to neutralize shungite. I have shungite crystals all around my office. Organite with shungite crystals. Why? He's one of them crystal doctors. Ooh, crystals are bad. The church got rid of crystals back in the 1800s because of a guy named Mesmer, and he was mesmerizing people. And so crystals have evil energy that can mesmerize and take over your soul. No comment, Annie?
Oh gosh.
How about if anything has energy, which everything does, and it has good energy that's consistently been found, where's good energy come from? Well, I read somewhere that all good things come from God. Wow, didn't the breastplate of Aaron have 12 crystals in it? Huh. Oh, in Revelations, like chapter 21, when the millennial city comes out, doesn't it have 12 crystals around all the gates and everything? Must be bad stuff. What do you think, Annie?
Must work.
Yeah, but I'm not sitting here advocating the use of crystals in a, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for, in a pagan ritual aspects of, witchcraft. That's not my attributes there. But let me tell you, crystals have healing potential and they support that. But don't turn around and say, oh, I've got this crystal, so now I'm going to be healed. It doesn't work that way. But having that energy around you and putting yourself in, believe me, I have an idea. If I had a really good mechanical engineer of making a box with organite and LED lights on specific frequencies, and that I think that we could truly have some incredible impact on people. Because there's enough research back in the from the 1930s to about 1965 on what these frequencies, these light. How many of you have heard about light therapy and these new LED lights and laser lights? Let me put laser lights to my knee and restore cartilage. Why? It's frequency and energy, people, concentrated in a specific bandwidth to stimulate something to restore inside your body. It's all frequency and vibration. How do we measure that? RBTI, from a chemical standpoint, if you start understanding pH, I go over and I try to help you to understand all this stuff. And so, anyway, let's see what else we got here. I am totally going offline. Any general guidelines for elderly people as far as recommended diet changes? Parents in the late 80s and healthy, eat whole foods, buy real food, cook real food, stay away from processed food, stay away from genetically modified food. And that would be the best place to start, and drink pure distilled water. But guess what? That food still isn't going to have the minerals that you need in it. So I am going to suggest that you get them on a Mycology, 1 or 2 a day, at least at a minimum. I would give them a couple Mycology a day and at least 1 Algazim a day. so they get that trace amount of iodine that's needed by the liver and help them to handle, and some B vitamin and stuff in there, but just giving you that aspects of how to support. It's good to teach people the basics of looking at pH, and if they just check their urine pH, and anybody can do it and say, oh, it's yellow, I'm too acid, I need to eat what foods? Oh, there's a list here. I'm in the DE range. Let's eat DE foods, and we're going to make sure that list is broken down, that prominent calcium list is broken down in the book for people to have a basic idea of that. Most of the prominent calcium lists that are out there right now just break them down to say, eat these if you're acid, eat these if you're alkaline, but it doesn't break them down to ranges, and they're all intermixed. So you kind of got to flip through them to kind of find it. We just reorganize it a little bit. Let's see, any guidelines. Let's see. I have Lugol's iodine. How should I start taking it? Drops. I don't have a thyroid, so I'm on Levox for life, and I just read that iodine can help. Yeah, you don't take iodine without making sure you're taking selenium. And if you had your thyroid removed, and guess what? If you start feeding it, and all of a sudden your tissue remnants all of a sudden start growing you a new thyroid, it's cancerous, is what they're going to tell you, and because I've had people who had trace amounts of their thyroid, they had their thyroid removed, and then all of a sudden they see that it's starting to grow back, and they're like, oh my God, it's got to be cancer because it's growing back. Well, what's your body want to do? It's like, hey, there's supposed to be this gland here making this stuff. And so iodine is, you need it. Lugol's solution is concentrated. It's like 9 milligrams or 18 milligrams of iodine per drop, and if you've never taken iodine and Lugol's, I would tell you take 1 drop a day, and make sure you're taking 200 micrograms of selenium with that. And that, I give people Algazim because Reem says, hey, let's harvest this this bromelade. It's not actually a kelp, it's a bromelade. Let's harvest it at a particular time of year in Norwegian waters, no more deep than 40 feet down, and out of it, and so it had to be harvested at a particular time in a particular area. And why is because here is a sea-based product that will not drive your salts and conductivity up. And so is Bladder Rack like another kelp? Is that good? Hell yeah, it is. But it might have an effect on your conductivity a little bit more than Algazim does. And I've had people who can't tolerate Algazim, and I've been able to use Bladder Rack. Bladder Rack, there was an old herbalist named Ryan Drum. The guy was, have you ever seen those people? Like, who are the weirdest people in herbalists? It's usually your mycologists, your people who study mushrooms, and they look like these kind of like big bearded guys, and they're out there and like talking mushrooms. You don't know if they're actually on one where they're like hallucinating while they're talking to you because they get so deep in their conversation. Well, Ryan Drum was this really old kind of herbalist, and he basically did this presentation and talking about the attributes of the need for iodine and a biological real source of iodine that was not irradiated. And he said, listen, most of our oceans, particularly after 2011 and Fukushima, hey, go look up Fukushima radiation map and see if there's still radiation coming from that area and still affecting our oceans, particularly those of you who live in California. Do you need iodine? Hell yeah, you do. But you turn around, and Ryan Drum turned around and showed that these sources of iodine and how that they could get molecularly converted to iodine 153, I believe it was, where it gets too heavy from radiation, and then it gets converted. The iodine is getting incorporated to making reverse T3. So if you start doing thyroid studies, you have T3, T4, you have thyroid stimulating hormone, you have antibodies that you're looking for. But reverse T3 is where it's a reverse isomer of T3, and they show there's a thing out there called Wilson syndrome, not where you have high copper, but Wilson was this guy who said, hey, there's thyroid imbalances where people for some reason start making all of this extra reverse T3, and it's not utilizable. Your body's wasting all of its energy and iodine source to make this reverse T3, and it doesn't have that effect to keep people up, and they can have a thyroid disorder because it's not functional. And Ryan Drum, really cool guy. He comes in and explains the foundation of why you need a biological source. Well, let's talk colloidal minerals and plants being our source of food. And then he goes and says the best source that he could find was Bladder Rack. Okay, great. Here's this herb that's used that can provide it. And then it got even better. He said that there were people that no matter how much iodine you give, that you would not see that reverse T3 correct. And he attributed it to grief. He said, for some reason, when people have some deep-seated grief, oh my God, loss of my dad, loss of my dog, loss of my son, that your body goes into an aspect and your body needs to grieve, where it doesn't matter how much you try to push that pathway, your body will turn around and make all this reverse T3, and you'll just be functionally tired. How many of you have been depressed or just downcast and saddened by loss, and you just can't seem to kick out of it? It's because your body hasn't gone through that. And he basically explained that you need to deal with the attributes of grief on the body before, even if you're taking the Bladder Rack, that things are going to correct for you. Pooh! Oh my God, that right there connected mind-body medicine with herbal medicine, with functional nutritional medicine. And I was blown away. I was like, oh my God, this guy's a genius, And you turn around. So I just started asking questions when people were on the Wilson protocol and taking T3, time release T3, and spiking up and stimulating your thyroid to act again, is when the compounding pharmacy still used today. Just look up Wilson's protocol with T3 supplements. And but you start asking these people, before this happened, did you have some really high grief related episode? Oh my God, grief is my middle name. I mean, you'll hear that regularly. And so you turn around and say, well, maybe have you had counseling with regard to that? And so there's a lot of things that you need to address on that mental, emotional level that isn't necessarily just taking iodine. Sorry for another tangent, but hey, there's my 2 cents worth. Let's see what else we have here. I carry things like that around with me. Good, Marcia. I do too. Loving what you said about crystals. Good. Red lights heal. Yes, they do, but so do green and yellow and violet and purple. And, Roy G. Biv, right? I mean, but there's a book out there by Denshaw. I can't remember his name. Darius Denshaw, I believe it was. And why do I remember all this crap? I don't know. But Darius Denshaw was this he looked like somebody who was out of India, this really small, that old like curved mustache and little beard here. And, he looked like he was from somewhere near India or something like that. But he studied light. Bottom line, chromotherapy. He studied disease states and frequency of light and how to apply light therapy and having all of these cures. And guess what? People are basically pulling bits and pieces of his research and saying, red lights heal. Let's use red lights. Okay. Infrared sauna. That's light energy. It heals. It helps to stimulate and detoxification. LED lights. The thing is you need to have an LED light, and you need to be able to tune the frequency of the light instead of just having red, green, whatever. It's like, how can you change it and have somebody set me up on having lights that I can tune into a specific frequency that I like? Because Denshaw and a lot of the old books directly relate specific frequencies with the healing, which goes back to solfeggio frequencies. Look that one up, people. Solfeggio frequencies. And it's turning around and saying there are specific frequencies, the solfeggio frequencies, there's 9 of them. So if you get into tuning fork therapy or even go to YouTube and look up, like 432 hertz music or 528 hertz music or 339 hertz music and stuff, you're going to find, or 396, you're going to find that you start listening to this where the music is tuned down, and next thing you know, you can just get into a serious brain chill, like totally chill out. Like I use that Rife machine that you've seen in my office, and there were things called mortal oscillatory rates, more frequencies. And who found them? Rife. And, and he found mortal oscillatory rates. What did that sound like? Okay, mortal people, oscillatory, oscillations or, rates. So that there is possibly specific frequency rates that resonate with your body, and that when you run these frequencies to the body, you're kind of recharging the body. People, if you run more frequencies on a Rife machine and you just get into it, you feel like you're high. You feel like, wow, this is kind of like totally relaxing and chilling. It's amazing how you feel, and so you look at all of this stuff, it's all frequency and vibration. And so it's kind of an interesting thing. So red lights are not the only ones that heal. Darius Dinshaw, and it's amazing stuff. Doug Kaufman has studied mycology for over 50 years. He has a website too. Great info on mycology. I love them. Paul Stamens is the guy that gets all the credit because he's really using mycology studies and fungus to really clean up the world, watersheds, and how, he basically showed how you can grow specific microbes in gardens and within that won't affect your plants. But if you have pests, it'll literally, get rid of ants and stuff like that. It's amazing what he's found out. Mind blown. Okay, good. I'm glad you're enjoying this. Crap, the reverse T3 makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I thought so too. Just blew my mind when I kind of read that, and he just associated mind-body medicine with it. Do the speakers you use affect the frequencies in music, etc.? The quality of your speaker definitely can, but the problem is most music that you're playing is tuned to 440 hertz as the standard. So that means it's slightly off kilter. So just look up, 432 versus 440 hertz tuning frequency. And there are people who, I don't know if you've ever seen where if you take frequency and you put it vibrate a specific frequency through a plate on sand and stuff like that, that the sand will make these beautiful, sacred geometry patterns. Wow, Doc has sacred geometry in his office. Does that mean he's who knows what, worshiping somebody that he shouldn't be worshiping? Well, now I got a picture of Christ, at least what somebody believes that he looks like, but you would think that Christ would be black based upon the times and not this, great looking white guy, but who knows?
Well,
I need a drink. So when you're looking at these type of things, the speaker is not necessarily a quality speaker. I turn around and I put on my headphones and I use solfeggio frequencies to help me find peace. And the two binaural beats, you can look up binaural beats and a specific hertz, or solfeggio frequency binaural beats, and you'll find that certain people have used binaural beats. Binaural, and binaural beats is saying, hey, I'm going to run 212 hertz in this ear, and I'm going to run 220 hertz in this ear. Now, from a pitch standpoint, most people can't pick that up. However, your brain does. And so because there's an 8 hertz frequency difference, your body will create a beat frequency. It'll go 8 beats per minute. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And that will tune your brain down. And guess what frequency your brain is at? 7.94 hertz, 8, which is the same thing as Schumann resonance. So if you look up Schumann resonance, you'll see that at sea level, and if you measure where it's quiet, you don't have all the electrostatic chaos that we have in here. Oh my God, if I go and look at how many Wi-Fi signals that are coming at me right now, it's why I have all these things around me. We have all these multiple frequencies, but when you tune into the earth like Tesla did to harness that power and let's make it into a free emitter. Well, it's more conspiracy stuff, I guess. You could turn around that 7.94 hertz, go to, I think I found it on I've mentioned environmental health perspectives, which is the National Institutes of Health. So if you Google environmental health perspectives, and then in there you go to the National Institutes of Health, and they got a search engine. And if you put brain and 7.94 hertz or brain and Schumann resonance, you'll find that the optimal frequency for the brain is Schumann resonance. Wow. How many of you find peace at the beach, particularly secluded beaches? Ionized air, mineral rich air. Guess what? Ream says that you can absorb up to 80% of your daily mineral needs through your skin. What does the sunlight do? Oh my God, that's light frequency. That's a vibrational frequency. People, it's all frequency and vibration. And so what you're doing is, how do I optimize it, and how do I find the frequencies that are best for me? You know? And so I'm just trying to make connections here so you can do this. And why? Do I need a doctor? I mean, that was the whole first question that we were trying to ask today. Right? You know, there is so much out there that you can learn to not only be aware of your own health, but you can also be proactive and say, wow, this isn't right. What's not right about it? And RBTI from a functional medical standpoint is go to docmisak.com, okay? And then go to media on docmisak.com, and there's articles that I've written. And there's one that says Bioelectrochemistry, a case study. Read it, please. Feedback. Tell me what you think of it. And basically, I ran numbers on this guy, and then I told him to get all these labs done because I already knew he was anemic. He had a thyroid disorder. His liver was stressed. You know, all of this stuff I already knew. And I predicted that you do these labs and they're going to show that things are screwed up. The only thing that surprised me is that his PSA and his cancer marker was negative. But it's because it tested the wrong cancer marker, because later on it came back that he had stage 4 cancer, and it was a blood-based cancer. Well, guess what? He never came to my office. He just sent me a set of numbers and did a phone consult. Had we looked at his blood, guess what we would have seen? Huh. But I'm not here to diagnose anybody, because I don't diagnose. I analyze. And then the analysis says, hey, guess what? This is really screwed up and you're a hot mess. But we can change it, because your body adapts to be as healthy as it can be based upon the environment that you create for it. So what if you start understanding your environment? 5 phases. Clean up your environment. Pure air, pure food, pure water, EMF. Test myself. What am I reacting to? Get rid of it, or other testing if we need to. What kind of support do I need? Well, basically some minerals, some basic vitamins. Most people, like Annie, need B12 and folic acid. You've been taking that stuff?
I have been.
Good. Okay. And so you turn around and you start supporting, and detox just naturally happens because your body's going to adapt to the environment that you have created for it. And self-awareness. Well, that's what I'm trying to tell you, is to be self-aware, to have some type of tool and assess, and then look, hey, run that Direct Labs blood test on yourself once a year, every December, $59 for a plethora of information. And if it's abnormal, then you probably might want to talk to somebody who knows what they're doing and say, hey, this is bad, and my RBTI numbers are bad. What do I do? Because I can't figure it out on my own. Well, go back and watch a bunch of my old videos, because I hope that I've given enough information, because I have had people who have figured it out on their own just from watching my videos. And that's the biggest thing, is learn how to do this. But otherwise...
Looks like you have one more question. Says, my boys have been diagnosed with Tourette's. I'll be testing them, thinking high in salts.
I would think high in salts too. When you're looking at that, you've got some type of nerve irritation. Oh my God, there's a bunch of things that appeared all of a sudden. Typically you're going to see high salts, but you also have to look for some type of inability. Do you have mold exposures? Are they sleeping in a basement? Do they play in a basement that has mold? Is there mold? When you're looking at something deep neurological, I'm looking for environmental toxicity, particularly molds. Molds are horrible for that type of stuff, for neurological disorders. So that's just something. That's where we use that organic acid test. Test and know. Test. Figure it out, people. Let's see. I love your shows, Doc. AO Scan Mobile is a new device I started using. Works great. YouTube founders, AO Scan Mobile channel, frequency scans, etc. Okay, that's interesting. Send me a link. I'll check it out. I always like, that's the one thing with the coalition. We're going to have practitioners on the coalition. And Betty, we have somebody else doing the website, and hopefully we're going to power through this now and get this up and going because it's been too long and not happening. But one of the things is we want to have practitioners, and not just RBTI practitioners. If somebody is certified in clinical assessment of electrodiagnostics, which is, you're not allowed to diagnose. So electrical assessment with EAV equipment or even radionics, and they show me some type of certification, then let's list them as a potential practitioner to getting tested and figuring something out. If this AO device is something that is, basically measuring frequency attributes and accurately representing what's going on in the body and give you information that you can correlate with your RBTI numbers where things aren't running well, and say, hey, maybe I do have this parasite or something as I'm reacting to it, then by all means, let me list these people so you can find them to have a different type of assessment to make sense of what your efficiency through your RBTI is telling you. So we're trying to help you to not need a doctor and become a part of the wonderful health care system. Can you describe the care in there for me? Too often I hear it referred to as a disease maintenance system. And I really believe that anybody and everybody has the potential for perfect in you, and you can be healthy. You just need to figure it out based upon some, regular analysis of yourself. So I hope that is something that helps. I want to know what was in that drink, Doc. Aha.
You and me both.
Yeah, kava. Let me think. Kava, rhodiola, eulethro, holy basil, schisandra, hops. Lots of hops because it helps with pain and relaxation.
My ears aren't ringing. My whole brain isn't going wah, 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 wah anymore. It worked great.
It does. It chills you out. It's more of an adaptogen, kind of get you through your day. So, and the kava is just, let me chill and relax. You can tell I was relaxed during this show. No. But anyway, we'll send a link. Have to go golfing. Enjoy. I hope we can all find some fun things to do today. Enjoy this weather. How often do we get 70-degree weather in Pennsylvania in November? Hey, thank you for listening. See you guys next week. God bless you all, and take care.